had to put water line in, they could come in and grade it. I thought it was all rock. So when I had a jackhammer with a bit on it, so I drilled a hole for the line line.
All right, good afternoon. It's 3:00, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. And we'll start with the approval of the agenda. If I could get votes from everybody.
So move. Approve.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
So move.
Perfect, thank you.
And also, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
If everybody approves. We don't have anybody from the public today, so there'll be no public forum. We do have some subcommittee reviews.
Or do we? I don't know if there's been any activity on that in the last couple months. I know at the last meeting we had, Coral had shared her communications plan. If there's any review of that you'd like to share, discussion around that. If not, I don't know if there's much update on subcommittees.
Well, Wayne and I met with Zoe over Zoom a couple times. Since April, there have been at least 2 meetings to offer feedback.
Yeah, and that's on the
Okay, great.
that's on the agenda,
Yeah,
so I thought
so-
that'd be covered there.
I just want to share that I pulled up the rebar and the fencing that had been run over down at Maney to just make it look a little prettier.
Okay.
So the pickleball lines are very faint, but the fencing is gone. So
Okay.
just FYI.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll have an update on that
Okay.
too.
Cool.
I think the main thing about subcommittees was the communication plan, if you wanted to talk about that or not. If not, that's fine. We can move on to the next item.
Anybody?
Do you have any updates on it or any
On the,
communications plan?
I don't. Coral had shared a draft a couple months ago and she was wanting some feedback from that.
I'll just look there and give them feedback.
We can talk about it next month. We'll send it out again and give you some time to look over it again.
Thanks.
Is the town going to follow it? Are they going to?
Possibly.
Okay. All right.
We're kind of looking for more of a robust communication plan towards the wave being open. So we have a little bit of time.
All right. If nobody has anything on the subcommittees, then ongoing business. So if you'd like to provide an update.
Okay. We had our meetings and we had a lot of updates to the Parks Ambassador program. I'll just get started because I have a fair amount of slides here. So here's the purpose. The main goal of the program is to increase attention and care for the parks by local people. Sorry. So like the Parks Ambassadors will be tasked with certain things that will show care for the parks, which will then present to the public like that they should do it too, basically. So that's like the whole purpose of it. I'm going to start with we'll just go through the structure. So basically we'll start with the pre-service. So we'll have a volunteer application. We're going to do background checks. I think that's super important. They're going to be in the parks, we want to make sure that they're, safe there and everybody who goes to the parks is also safe. They will cost some money, but with the amount of people in the program that I foresee being in it, it's not going to be that much. And we will have to do updated checks, which I believe are, if they re-register to be volunteers annually, then it'll be cheaper that way, I think. And then we also have a volunteer agreement form to kind of protect the town from any liability or anything like that. We'll go into training. So there's a lot of different documents that they'll get. So essentially, I made a volunteer guidebook, a more general one, because if the town ever wants to have volunteers that are outside of the Parks Ambassador program, that way they can also use it for that. But there will also be a more specified reference booklet that the Parks Ambassadors will use. So it's kind of a spin-off of that. It's a shortened version. It has more specified things that pertain to them. And then the recurring background checks. They'll also do a weekly Parks Ambassador report, and I'll get into all of that, like what that entails next. And then for training, we'll go through, so all of the documentation will be held in OneDrive shared folders. So it's online. We'll also do physical copies too, but it'll just be in a folder so anybody can access it. It'll be super easy. I've done it before with past programs I've helped run, and it's a really easy way for everybody to access everything they need. We'll go through how to submit their reports. We'll go through exactly how to survey the parks and fill out the reports. One of the tasks is to, we're going to put up QR codes in the parks for community members to submit their own insights, or if they see anything that needs to be fixed that the Parks Ambassadors don't. The Parks Ambassadors will be in charge of redirecting all of those submissions to the proper channels and the proper departments and people and such to get them fixed. We'll go over emergency procedures, and then there's also the wave is going to be more emphasized, as we're going to have some specific things that we're going to have to go over regarding the wave in that area and the riverside and everything. And then one thing I think is super important is these ambassadors should be receiving something more than just the gratification of being a volunteer. I think it's a bigger task than just like a one-off volunteering thing. So providing them with something like a bi-monthly newsletter with like a couple articles that are pulled that are about like the local environment or something like that. I think that'd be really interesting and educational, and it would help keep them, informed and stuff. I think that would be a good thing to think about as well. So continuous training. So the main duties of the Parks Ambassadors will be to serve, they'll each be placed at a certain park. They'll serve as a representative for that park. They'll attend the park, a couple times a week, and conduct an environmental check. And then the QR code thing that I was talking about as well. And with those environmental checks, they'll be led to, at the end of the week, fill out a form, and then they'll submit that form. And so whatever checks that they have will combine into that form, as well as any other, opinions or like thoughts that they have about whatever it is, the program itself, the parks, whatever. They'll be able to let everybody know by submitting that. And then they'll also help maintain the community boards in the parks. I think that'll take some, work off of somebody else's shoulders. I think it's just something easy that can be done. And then, again, the Parks Ambassador report. Then we'll also do hours tracking. I think, Anne, we talked about something different. I don't remember exactly. It's in the updated program that I'll be sending you guys at the end. But yeah, so more specified about each duty. So with the weekly environmental check, we'll give them step-by-step questions, so it won't be hard for them to fill it out. They'll go and do a routine. They'll go through the parks. They'll see, what's wrong, what needs to be fixed, if anything. And then we'll also do hours tracking, things like that. Pretty simple. And then again, with the QR codes, I think this will be interesting because it'll also give community members like a chance to provide input if they don't want to come to one of these meetings or they can't make it. They'll be able to do it just by scanning a QR code and sending it in. It'll also keep, because the parks ambassadors are not going to be able to catch everything. That's just how it goes. So it'll be nice to have, like, for the community members to have access to something where they can just easily let people know what's wrong. And then within the reference booklet, there will be a contact list. So all of the parks ambassadors can refer to that when they're redirecting all of the submissions to the proper channels. And then community board care, it's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory, just update them, make sure they're not damaged, maybe like wipe them down or something if they're dirty, things like that. And then to talk about the wave, Adrian and I were talking earlier, and there are certain, like, if there's like an event or if like there's an emergency or something like that, the wave is just going to be a bigger deal than the other parks. It's going to call for more attention to be given to it. So the person who signs up for, or like is placed at Riverside in the wave, is probably going to have to serve a little bit longer of time every week than the other volunteers will. So it will be like, we'll have to make that known and like, make sure that they're trained on everything that they need to know regarding the wave and stuff like that. So like all of the policies, all of the emergency procedures regarding it and everything. But I think everybody will get that training, but they'll have to like truly like focus on it. We might like go over it more with them or something. And then when it comes to recruitment, 18 or up or 16 or 17 with parental consent, because I think a 16 or 17-year-old would be able to do this. I would have been able to if I were 16 or 17. So, and then physical ability, of course, they're going to walk around the parks. You're going to be able to do that well and, hit every mark. And then 4 to 5 hours of orientation or training. And I haven't really thought about whether that'll happen, like if people have to go back through training or what have you, maybe like a shortened version if they do it again year after year. And then, anywhere from 2 to 6 hours of service weekly. I think 2 is the bare minimum. I think that like if for the wave and Riverside, it might be a little bit more than that. But yeah, so we just give them a broad range because some people want service hours, and if they're going to be doing it, they'll be doing it. So they have to have access to technology to be able to submit the reports that they will be doing every week. And then they will also have to be able to find a way to the folder and be able to redirect those QR codes reports. And then, transportation or walkability to the assigned parks. It'd be really nice if we could find people that lived near the parks that could just like walk there. That would be most preferable. And then here's some character preferences. People who attend the parks on a weekly basis multiple times, compassionate and caring, care about the earth, care about their community. And then, the whole point of this is to improve the environment, to improve the health of the community. So that has to be at the baseline. And if they don't know a lot about the environment, that's okay. Like, that's kind of, this will teach them that, So, and then all of the documents, there's gonna be a lot of documents, but when they're all like, if they're all organized correctly, it's not gonna be overwhelming. It's not gonna be a big deal. If they're all written well and, comprehensive, then I think it'll go over well with all of the ambassadors. I already went through all of them, So one thing is we want them to be, like when they are serving, we want them to be known for who they are. So I think having some safety vests would be a great idea. Something that matches the colors of the new Parks and Rec logo, I think would be really cool. And yeah, so I think it would be great if we could find potentially some that are more sustainable. I think any incentive items, anything like that, if we could try to find some that are eco-friendly or sustainably made, like that's probably top priority if we can, if it's not too expensive, because it's just, that's what this program is. So I think that would be, and having them sustainably made usually means they're higher quality, and we want them to be comfortable. Nobody, like safety vests are kind of like, you know, they're gonna have to wear them all year long, and like put them over their jackets and stuff in the winter, and like not be super sweaty in the summer when they're wearing it. So there's a lot of different options.
Not sweaty in the summer.
I mean, like they'll be sweaty, but like not like too uncomfortable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so like the higher quality will, and they'll last longer too that way. And just inclusive sizing, all that stuff. Yeah. And then when it comes to team roles, we're probably going to need 3 people. We'll need a program supervisor, somebody who just kind of oversees the whole operation, placements, acceptance of people, making sure like background checks, things like that. And then we'll need a volunteer coordinator who they kind of are the communications person. They provide all of the deliverables, like probably manage the calendars and things like that. And then a data officer, they'll help manage the volunteer management system, which is another thing that I'm working on, and it's a big undertaking, but I'm making some headway, and I'll definitely like consult with everybody about that too. It's just I haven't gotten that far yet, but yeah, they'll be kind of like the person between the ambassadors and the volunteer coordinator, if need be. And I wanted to point out some challenges because I was doing some research, and volunteering in the public sector is something that's like really difficult to get people to do. Like people want to volunteer for nonprofits. People don't necessarily always want to volunteer for their local government. I've noticed, I've worked in local government, we've had volunteer, it's very difficult to get people to want to do that. So I think approaching the recruitment challenges from the get-go is super important, or trying to navigate them and think about ways to, get by will be essential basically, in getting the right people that will stay and will want to be there. So yeah, I think, and I'm also going to be sending an article about recruitment challenges, and I'll be sending an article about public sector volunteering specifically. It's just from a study that was conducted, and it's just like maybe 2 pages from it, the results. It had some really, really good insight, but a lot of this is pretty like self-evident, but it's definitely something that is overlooked a lot, and I think people jump the gun. So without paying attention to this kind of thing. So like, yeah, you'll read more in the study. It's pretty self-evident. I mean, it's understandable why people feel some type of way about volunteering for their local government. I think it's just government in general. So, and when it comes to incentive, I think that's a key aspect of it. From those 2 challenges articles and such that I read, incentive was like a super big pull for people, because it's just something. If you're going to be volunteering your time and you're not getting paid monetarily, you get something out of it. And it's something that like you can be like, oh yeah, I got this doing this. Like I volunteered for NPR once and I got so much swag and I was so happy, and like it made me want to do it again. So yeah, I think if we do that sort of thing, I think like A tote bag. I found these like cool, it's like a tote / drawstring bag. So like they could carry it either way. And it was like made of recycled cotton, and like a notebook or a water bottle or both. I think it would be really nice for them to have. And we would probably brand it with the overall Parks and Rec logo. So that way it can be used, they can be used for other things too. But yeah, I think focusing on sustainable materials, which I've found some stuff that's not too pricey, would be good. Obviously, we'll do reference and recommendation letters. If we could maybe get some local businesses to throw in some coupons, that's always fun. And then obviously we could have a celebration annually. I think that'd be a good thing. It's just something to look forward to. It's like, food, free food, some pizza or what have you, would be nice. And just, reassurance, of course. Everybody wants reassurance. I think that's pretty, standard. And so for the volunteer management system, that's super important, because if we don't have that, then we won't have organization. So, but there's so many different ways you could go about it. I'm parsing out the options. I think a lot of them, one of them is like, a big one was calendars. You could do a calendar separately and have a volunteer database through a program that you can get online, or a full-on program. You just do everything in one, which I feel like would be a lot. It would be like, everybody would have to learn something new, and like the volunteers would have to use that, and like then the town would have to like transfer it would just be kind of a lot to do it that way. So I think at least like doing some of it through like the town's like the Microsoft would be easy, and having some aspects of it through a different program, like to hold all like the names and that sort of thing would be good. I have some things I've been researching, so I haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to like articulate it too well yet, but I'll share it with everybody whenever it's ready and all that. But yeah, it's super important for like, at least scheduling is like a big thing, and having some sort of management system that everybody knows will just make it a lot more streamlined, a lot easier for people to apply, and everything else basically. And then the mission statement and program vision. So in the guidebook that I will be sending you, I have written out something that they're both very long. They need to be edited down. I would love it if you could give some comments on that. And so we could edit it down, and it will be, nice. But yeah, so the mission statement is for what the program does like today. It's it's basically the beginning. And then the vision is kind of like what the program's like ultimate goal is, essentially. So I think having both is important too. But yeah, I have some good stuff written down, and I think we're going to pull it up after this. So, and then yeah, just some food for thought. Again, the challenges, I think that's something we're going to have to think about. A properly functioning volunteer management system, super important. And then the mission and vision statements. I think those are like the three big things to chew on. I have, as you'll see in the structure document that I'll send all of you, it'll have everything written out. It's all, in one cohesive package. So, yeah, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Have you heard back from the community with regard to how many people might be interested in it? Has there been any?
About the community garden? There is.
Oh, about the volunteer ambassador.
About what?
Yeah, but we're not public yet.
Yeah, we're not public yet, but I'm thinking like for the recruitment, I think a big thing would be going to the parks and just talking to people at the parks. I think that's like that way we could gauge interest, because those are the people who go there most of the time. So
You're looking for one person per park, or
Yeah, probably. I mean, but we were also thinking about like maybe like if somebody wants, if say we don't have enough people who want to do it, if somebody wants to pick up another park, for the meantime until we get another person to fulfill
I'm
that.
optimistic. It's like two people share a park.
Yeah.
I mean, we could. That'd be nice because that way they could split the work. I think that's definitely something to consider. I mean, we could shoot for that for sure. That could be like a goal. It's something that I think that would have to be like done over time though. Yeah.
It's a building on itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think I would be more likely to want to be part of this program if I was sharing it with somebody and not
Right.
every week I would have to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we like framed it that way from the get-go, but we're okay with like
But yeah, if somebody's really like
dealing with like just the buildup, then I feel like that would be good.
Could it also, we include the possibility for a group to be responsible for a park, like a
The-
Girl Scout troop or Prince Broad River Academy or
That'd
a
be cool.
church group, or, that there be a responsible adult that is the one making sure everything is
Mhm.
being followed properly.
Yeah.
But that, it could be a team of young people
For sure.
that could do it also.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the adult would probably have to be the one who like did the QR code direct redirection and stuff, but the kids could, we could totally figure out. I mean, the wording of all of this stuff is going to be super easy and they'll be able to do it. So yeah, I think a group would be interesting, especially for like the Wave and Riverside. That would be such a big undertaking. And so like people aren't always going to have the time to, and having a group means that like, a parent could take,
Rotate through.
they could take turns.
It's a good idea, because you could look at some of the churches that are in the area and their potential
Yeah.
youth groups.
Right.
And I think that, you were thinking one person per park or two. I'm like optimistic, because one of my questions is like, hey, how many volunteers do you think we need for this whole program?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually optimistic to it because of all the attention that Woodfin's getting right now and that we'll continue to get over the next year and a half. And ideally community members finding pride in that and wanting to take part in it.
Totally. Yeah. I think that shooting for more is better. It would just make it more robust for sure. I think that's a great idea. I was just kind of leaning more towards the safer side, I guess. But I would love that. Like, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that speaks to also that people want to volunteer with like an organization as opposed to government. And that sort of brings that into, I think that's a lot of the reasons when you see like an Adopt a Highway, sometimes you'll see that it's a family or something like that, but most of the time it's an organization that has continuity, so that as people rotate in and out and stuff, it's sort of their project that they take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. I can work that into all of the stuff too. I'll update the application. I already have the application and stuff written out. So yeah, I can totally update it, everything.
You mentioned like appreciation gifts. I would look at something like, after 6 months or 1 year of service, looking at the appreciation gifts, because obviously budgeting money is always going to come.
For sure. Yes.
So that's just one of my notes I had there.
Mhm.
And then the trainings, would these be in person? And then I would recommend having these recorded.
Yeah, for sure.
Easier.
Yeah. I think having them recorded or even like streamed for people to watch if they can't make it in person would be great. I think also, I was also thinking about like the potential for the trainings to include going to just one of the parks to give a run through of going through the process. I think that'd be important. I mean, we have a couple parks right here, so it'd be pretty easy to get everybody down there if they were in person. Yeah, definitely.
Zoe, I think that from the inception of this whole thing, from you and where it is right now is impressive. We're lucky that we have you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
so-
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I've never done like program development before, but I really enjoy this. So I'm grateful for you guys as well.
And
Thank
I love
you.
your logo. I like the birds. It like feels like there's movement happening. Like it's a nice
Yeah.
way to incorporate the logo into something new.
Yeah, because I updated it. It was at first it was different because it was just with the Town of Woodfin logo, but then we got this new one for the Parks and Rec. So I was like, easy, I'll update it, and it looks.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
I like the way you got the bear to wave.
Yeah, it was all me.
Yeah, probably was it around the time that Silverline opened that.
The logo was kind of new to me and I was embarrassed to ask how long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it came, we were kind of done with it right at Silverline because we were able to incorporate it into the sign.
That's great.
Cool.
And
Good.
did that come from somebody from AV Tech?
No, that was Reggie Tidwell was a connection that Coral had, I think.
I really like it. I was like, dang, that's good. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Date that you'd like to have the volunteers in place by, or
I was hoping we could get it launched by September. I think that that's feasible, or at least get recruitment going by then. If we were to go with like, if we couldn't get it launched, like, and get all the volunteers ready by then, I think getting recruitment going by September.
And fall is the friendliest season to get people outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's off the ground now.
Yes. Everybody wants to be outside in autumn. So yeah, it'll be nice and pretty outside, and then winter will come. But
we hope.
yeah, winter. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
So as far as the timeline goes, I've asked Zoe to start working on a budget. We didn't include that in this year's budget. I don't think it's gonna be a huge budget, but I just want to have an idea of cost with the background checks and the incentives and that kind of thing. So that'll kind of determine what our timeline's gonna be once we develop that. But we'll share more about that next month. And also, I think what we'll do is send you the guidebook, which will have the mission and vision statements in it. And you can take some time over the next month to look over those, and we can revisit that next month as well.
One question I forgot to ask, the 3 positions, that be duties that are added to current staff or new staff hired, or have you thought
I think
that
it'll
out?
be partly current staff, partly volunteer based.
Because I felt like a couple of those roles could be like merged.
Yeah. Well, it'll have to be current staff or volunteer based, so we'll have to figure it out.
Since it's not in the budget.
Or we find a way to keep Chloe and make it part of her.
Yeah, we might could do that. Okay. We're on to project manager updates.
Yes, we are.
So I wanted to start with Silverline Park because the last time we were together, we were talking about the restrooms and the discussions I'd had with the council during budget talks. So I just wanted to let you know what the ultimate decision was on that. So here are the 4 restrooms we originally looked at, and we chose the bottom one, the CXT. And the cost associated with that in the cost estimates from the consultant was around $200,000. And when I first approached council with that, they wanted me to go back and see if we could find a lower cost. And I came to you guys and told you that, and you said I should talk to other people and see what they had done. So I did that. I talked to Asheville and Buncombe County about their recent restrooms. And so this is information I got. It's not apples and oranges. These are both stick-built structures, and they both are larger, have a picnic area. But you can see the cost there at the bottom, and that is project from beginning to end. The Buncombe County Sports Park included installation of a water line as well, so that cost would probably come down about $200,000. But the total cost was around $500,000. So I took that back to them with some other options of other restroom type prefab buildings we could choose from. So this is the same company that we chose from, but this is a different model. This is the base model. So you can see there, I've highlighted it in red at the top. That's the base cost. So if you go back to this slide that I hope I don't have to see too many more times, you can see the CXT is listed at $65,000. That big range is there. Well, that's why, because the $65,000 is the base model. So that's what this is. So all the other costs included with that, it also includes anti-graffiti coating, and it includes a exterior water fountain, some other things, the facilities for the restroom. The total cost of that's, you can see, 141.
Do we need a timed electrical clock?
Say it again.
Just a timed electric clock. Do we need that? I guess.
I mean,
Those are pretty inexpensive
Yeah,
to install
yeah, right.
afterwards. But actually, it does have that on there, right?
It is on there.
I think we can do that for cheaper than $13.50, but I won't get caught up in that.
Well, this is the model that we had originally chosen, and you can see that base started at 86. So the total cost for the restroom and the fixtures in the building came to 166. So then I looked at other prefab manufacturers, and Smith and Midland had the cheapest option. Well, the consultant recommended Smith and Midland having the cheapest option. This is their base model. It doesn't have the locks or the water fountain or the anti-graffiti coating, but it's quite a bit cheaper. So it's $116,000. So that's just for the building. And then we go back to the master plan that we're still in developing. And so we're looking at right now just adding the restroom building, but we will also have to add the fill to meet the floodplain requirements. So that's, and the ADA ramp to get up to the restrooms from the playground area. So with the original model, the total cost for all of that is $454,000. You can see the restroom building and fixtures is listed at $226. That also includes a $60,000 cost for plumbing and electrical. So I took the same information there, the site grading and prep, erosion control and all that, and I put it with the other two models to compare. And you can see how it goes down from the first model we chose to the Smith Midland model is about $28,000 less each step. And so the council ultimately decided to go with the middle there, the Cortez model, which is this one.
Great.
Yeah.
With the and it has the water fountain on the outside, right?
Has the what? Yeah.
Yep.
Because I feel like last time we kind of talked about this and looked at all the prices, I feel like our consensus was, this is what it is. Go back and tell them that's kind of what it is. We can cut little corners, but this is what people are spending
Right.
on this. So I'm glad that resonated, and thank you for obviously all the work you did.
Yeah. How much was that total again?
426.
And since this conversation happened, Hedrick Corey, who's helping us with the WAVE project, called me and said they might could help us with some of the fill that we need for this. So that's going to be some cost savings too, hopefully.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice job.
So I'm waiting on the master plan to be completed. I checked with the consultant yesterday. They're still waiting on civil engineering to finish up their review. I guess engineers are running slow these days. So hopefully it'll be soon. And once that's complete, we'll present that to you guys and move forward with getting the bids ready for the restroom. On to Riverside Park and the WAVE. So construction is now underway. We do have all our permits in hand. We did receive our floodplain permit, so we're fully permitted. We have been having various pre-construction meetings. So we had our first pre-construction meeting with the consultants and the contractor on June 11th. Right now, they're basically working on getting erosion control set up and ready and creating access to the river so they can get in and start building that cofferdam. They hope to be in the river by mid-July. I revisited that with a contractor this morning. He still says mid-July. So should be in the next week or so. We also had a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers and Division of Water Resources with DEQ to discuss the cofferdam options. The original plans included super sacks to be used for the cofferdams, and the contractor would rather use aggregate or cobblestone for the cofferdam for various reasons. So he wants to use a mixture of super sacks and aggregate. And so we met with them to make sure that was okay, because it was a deviation from the original plans. And they were okay with it as long as wildlife was okay with it. So we checked with wildlife and we finally got their okay. So that's approved now. But from that conversation, we also scheduled a pre-construction meeting with the permitting agencies that happened this morning on site. And there was one of the consultants for the wave was there, the designer. And there was a lot of questions around the cofferdam and construction sequencing and the river safety plan, the high water contingency plan. The contractor's still working on putting that together. But all of that should be approved in the next day or two. He has to amend the plans to include that change to the cofferdam. But the permitting agencies know we're kind of in a hurry because we've been backed up a little bit. So they're working with us to get all that taken care of quickly. So it was a good meeting. So I think everything's good there. We also had a pre-construction meeting with Craggy Mountain Line. They were going to want to do some upgrades to the crossing at the entrance to the expansion park area. So we're going to coordinate with them on that. And we're also, when we get to the on-land construction, the park construction, they'll want to be in constant contact with us on what's going on. So we'll coordinate with that with them too. And finally, we had a meeting with MSD yesterday on site. They had some concerns around location of the sewer line and relocation of a portion of the sewer line. I think that the contractor explained the safety measures he was going to use and made them feel better about what was happening. So I think we're clear there. It was kind of scary for a minute, but I think we're on the same page now. So
Our contractors relocating the MSD line?
their contractor, MSD is. So for a timeline, I have Riverside Park and the Wave. So once they get in the river, it'll be the wave itself will take 4 months, but that doesn't include construction of the cofferdam. And the cofferdam construction is not real clear how long that's going to take because they'll just have to see how it goes and what they need to do. So they're estimating 8 to 10 months for construction. That's of construction. So if hopefully if early arrival of high flows in the fall or winter come, then that'll delay that. So they'd have to pull out of the river and then go back in the river next winter, early spring to finish the other half of the wave. It's possible that can happen. Either way, the target completion date is September, spring or summer of 25. And then they'll start the construction of the onshore improvements, and that targeted completion date is summer of 26. And through all this updating and getting ready to go, we got more information, newer information about the timeline for the Greenway. So the designs are underway, moving forward to completion during this year. The alignment was done except for the alignment at MSD, and they've now come to an agreement on that. So they should be done with the design portion, getting ready to start right-of-way acquisition, and they're planning on that to take about a year. So construction is targeted to begin late 25.
Can I ask a question? So you said that y'all worked something out with the MSD building there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So it was going to go past the building, around behind it, and over the creek.
Right.
Over the bridge.
Right.
Well, that was going to create an issue with achieving a no-rise.
Right.
So they've gone back and forth on it a little bit. There was some talk about it going through Millet Riverside parking lot along the Craggy Mountain line right of way.
Right.
But what they ultimately came to was coming along the edge of Millet Riverside and up in front of MSD's building.
Okay.
Up to Riverside Drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take away some of MSD's parking. So I think they're working on where they could add some parking back for them. But ultimately, I think that's going to be the alignment, and they've pretty much agreed to it.
So it'll come over Riverside Drive, right where the bridge is or whatever, over that creek.
It'll come over Riverside Drive at parallel to the front of MSD's building.
Got it. Okay.
Connect over to
That makes sense.
Beaver Dam Creek
Got it.
Greenway.
Awesome. Thanks.
So the targeted completion date for that is 2027. So it's kind of exciting to think that all this could be done in 3 years. So that's the update on the park and the wave and the greenways. Do you have any questions about any of that?
Sorry, small question. With the Taylor's Wave, target completion spring, summer 25, but then at the Shore Park, does the Shore Park improvements, they can take place after the wave is open, is that correct?
After the wave is complete, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the wave can be open and then we move on.
Yes, yes. We'll have to work on the logistics of that, but that is the plan.
Are we calling that one French Broad Greenway now, or that's just, it's not like officially changed names or anything?
No, it's under one contract, but it's 2 different designs. So it's Highway 251 and Beaver Dam Creek is what we call it. French Broad, Beaver Dam Creek.
So people will probably call
Yeah,
it
yeah,
the one on the river and the one on the creek.
yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty exciting.
That's exciting.
It's neat to be out there on site watching them move stuff around, and I can't wait till they get in the river. It's going to be fun.
I think a lot of us could agree that I was surprised, the ribbon cutting, how well the turnout was, how well it was attended.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
really a big deal.
yeah.
That was awesome to see that and feel that, like, okay, people are really behind it more so than behind a keyboard. You know, they're like here and want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that went off really well, I thought. So, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but our consultant was there for our comprehensive bike ped plan doing survey stuff. And they said at one point there were too many people. They couldn't talk to all of them. So I thought that was really good. So anything else on that? All right, I just wanted to cover a couple more things that we're doing in parks and greenways. So I just mentioned the bike ped plan. We had a survey out for a couple months and that just closed last week. I've shared the results with you. That's what your little handout is. It's pretty interesting. I'll let you go through it on your own time. But it looks like most of the people that responded are either live in Woodfin or travel through Woodfin, or at least live in Buncombe County. If you look at question 2, you'll see the different colors there. And I just wanted to point out that the darker the color is, the more respondents there were. So that's kind of easy, makes it easier to look at. So like for walking, a higher percentage of the respondents walk to get around. Most of them don't use a wheelchair. So you can kind of see how that works. So I just wanted to share this with you so you could, review it and take it in. It's pretty interesting. The words were my favorite part because it's very true. Currently walking, wheeling, running, and Woodfin and the biggest word is dangerous on both of them.
Yeah.
So.
Can I share this info with colleagues?
I'm happy to share it electronically if that's easier too. I just saw.
Will it be published anywhere?
Yeah, we can probably put it on our website. We'll do that. So the next steps in that project we're now at the stakeholder process. So we're going to do 5 different stakeholder events, activities, interviews. 2 of them will be with the DOT division. So the consultants will coordinate that. But the 3 extra ones, we decided we would do one with the education system. So Woodfin Elementary and maybe somebody from Buncombe County Schools or even Irwin High School in that area, since that seems to be included in a lot of our recreational plans. So that'll be one meeting. And then they recommended that we meet with other planners from other towns and cities. One of the things that was in our budget, that's in our budget for this year, is a code update to our zoning code. And in conjunction with that, they recommended that we meet with other cities that have good codes already, that might include things related to recreation and also have recreational opportunities and see kind of what they're doing and how they do things and how they prioritize. So that'll be another one. And then the last one will be just regional cities with other cities that are have done projects or are doing projects. So that'll be happening over the next month or two. So I'll keep you posted on progress on that study. Woodfin Weaverville Greenway study, Landa Sky is administering that for us. We have a consultant chosen, which is TPD. And they have provided their scope of services to us at this point. We got that last week, so we're reviewing that. Once that's approved, we'll start moving forward on that study. And then finally, the community garden update. So they have partnered with Bountiful Cities. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but it's a 501c3, and they'll be able to help the community garden with community outreach, workshops, volunteers, that kind of thing. And because of that, they were able to apply for the Tipping Point grant from Buncombe County for $5,000, and they were awarded that grant. So they're eager to move forward. Our legal team is still reviewing the agreement, but hopefully we'll have that done soon. Once they get our agreement, they can start moving forward with the grant and getting the site ready to be open next year. So that's moving forward pretty nicely at this point.
Who did they connect with?
Bountiful Cities.
Okay.
Betsy manages most of our community gardens too. Like we have agreements with them because they're a long-standing organization versus just individuals. They're usually pretty easy to work with, but they're very dedicated to community gardens.
Very cool. I can't wait to see it.
Do you know what other programs they have?
The only ones I know of, and I know they do some stuff with like distribution of food and stuff like that, but they
Okay.
manage like the work days at our edible forest and different community gardens and stuff like that, different places.
They've got relationships with several schools too, to manage their gardens and help implement programming in the schools too.
They're also the Asheville Food Policy, the Asheville Buncombe Food Policy Council is also now under Bountiful Cities. So
Well, that's all I have for today.
That's a lot.
I was barely able to keep up, but I think I got most of it. Does anybody have anything else before we close the meeting?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I apologize for being late. And then my second apology is I said Chloe, not Zoe.
yeah.
But I also wanted to, again, give you your proper dues because if you guys didn't know, Zoe. Can we just go? Zoe has been in contact with the YMCA, and the YMCA's food distribution program is going to be in Woodfin
Oh, nice.
on a monthly basis, right?
Starting in August.
Yeah, starting in August. So,
Third week.
There you go.
and that we haven't had a distribution site. We as the Y haven't had a distribution site.
Well, didn't y'all just move like the base of operations for that program down
Yeah,
to
the hub
river?
is, yeah. Mhm. So it's even closer than ever, but
So is the food distribution gonna be here at town hall or?
that's a question.
It's gonna be July.
It's gonna be.
Oh, it's at the Y, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot that. Vacation brain. Yes, it's gonna be in the Woodfin YMCA's parking lot.
The mobile food market.
Awesome.
I appreciate the work that's being done on the Greenway and all the parks. And I'm at the point in my life where I would rather look back than forward. And I can recall in the late 80s and early 1990s being on the French Broad River Foundation Board and dreaming of what you guys are doing. So appreciate it and appreciate letting me be a small part of that. So thank you.
All right, I guess that we will adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thanks.
There you go.